Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. We have been monitoring Hurricane Helene, Category 4 Hurricane Helene, making landfall last night in the Big Bend area of Florida. Now it's a tropical storm with 45-mile-per-hour winds. This is an update based on the 11 a.m. National Hurricane Center update from Miami. And it looks like the storm is starting, at least tropically, to transition into an extratropical cyclone. However, the impacts are very broad. Look at this satellite image, and you can see just how large the circulation is. Now, the storm is getting sucked into an upper level low pressure system, and so it's going to pinwheel around that low for a couple of days. It's really going to lose totally its tropical characteristics, but the moisture sticks around, and that's why we have historic flooding happening all along the path of this storm. It was really tremendous. I hope that all the responders out there are safe. I believe still water rescues are happening in areas where flash flood emergencies are in effect. Now, Hurricane Helene has 45-mile-per-hour winds. It's moving to the north at 32 miles per hour. And one of the things that we had was a lot of storm surge along the west coast of Florida. Before I get to that, I do want to show you what's going on as far as the satellite loop here. You can see a lot of the U.S. is kind of cloud-free, at least a few clouds around Colorado. You can see the Terminator line coming as the sun rises, but the big swirl in the atmosphere is not just Helene. Helene is over extreme western, southwestern, or western South Carolina and extreme southwestern North Carolina. That's the center of the storm, but you can see that mid-level low pressure, the synoptic scale system that's going to suck in its moisture, and it is creating a lot of rain. I want to show you GeoCollaborate, and I'll take it full screen here because I want to show you a couple of things that are happening. First, this is the 11 o'clock update. You can see the cone. It's really diminishing here. It's probably close to one of the last cones the National Hurricane Center will issue because the storm is just dissipating. But it looks like it's just here, and it's just going to meander around here, getting sucked into this overall low pressure system. So one of the things going on in this radar image, you see on the right-hand side here, a lot of warnings going on. There are tornado warnings in some of these outer bands, a lot of flash flood warnings. And I do want to turn off the radar data because I want to show you these warnings that are happening. And here we go into western North Carolina, extreme northwestern South Carolina. These warnings are in green. I can change the base map just a little bit here so they can show up a little bit better. But here they are in green. Look at all of this, including flash flood emergency in Atlanta. All of these are flash flood warnings, particularly in the Asheville area, western South Carolina, and extreme western North Carolina. These flood warnings in northern Georgia as well, in some cases, are historic flooding. So critical infrastructure is being impacted all throughout the day, likely for the next couple of days as damage gets assessed. But you can also see a number of tornado warnings going on there. So I'm going to switch. Actually, I'll keep this base map on because I have another data product turned on. We've been working with NOAA on for a number of years and testing. I'm going to switch the base map back to satellite because I want you to notice these colors here along the starting the Big Bend area in Citrus County, Homosassa Springs. This is satellite data that can actually detect flooding, can detect water where water shouldn't be. And you can see that all the way around here in Taylor County. This is where the storm made landfall. Right to the right here is Cedar Key, is right here, Cedar Key, and you can see a lot of inundation happening there. And also inland here in Dixie County. And so there's major storm surge impacts there. All of this is detected by satellite. And there's even quite a bit of storm surge that's being detected here with residual flooding from the tides. And the surge warnings have been canceled by the National Hurricane Center, but the winds are still pulling in off of the Gulf of Mexico, maintaining some of that flooded area. And if we go over here, even towards Apalachicola, you can see right across the sound from Eastport, this barrier island here, there is flooding being detected by satellite. And I just want to take a quick jog down here to the Tampa and Clearwater area. You can see that there is still flooding ongoing along the shoreline from storm surge. And in Clearwater, we had quite a bit of flooding going on there. As a matter of fact, I want to show you this. In Clearwater, we had historic storm surge levels. As a matter of fact, not only did we break the record set back in 1993 of 6.76 feet above mean low water, we crushed it. We crushed it. 9.36. That's a preliminary number, and that number is going to perhaps be revised as the data gets looked at a little bit more clearly, but 9.36. That is almost 3 feet. It blew that storm surge away. That's how powerful this storm system was. Now let me just go back to GeoCollaborate full screen here, and that storm surge results are happening. As a matter of fact, bridges, the Gandy Bridge, the Sunshine Skyway Bridge, all these bridges have to be inspected by Florida Department of Transportation officials, and they are going to reopen those bridges once they deem them as safe. But this satellite imagery is pretty amazing. It can see where water should not be, but it is. And that's how we're depicting it here in GeoCollaborate. There are still tropical storm warnings along the South Carolina coastline. That is going to continue at least for the next several hours. But this is the real story here. All of these flood warnings, which will continue. So I want to bring back up here the impacts graphics that we've shown over the last couple of days. The first one is the wind threat. The wind threat is going to continue today with this system through South Carolina and eastern Georgia. Not going to be hurricane force winds, but remember those possibilities are there. I would say tropical storm or less. And that is going to diminish rather quickly during the day today. The flooding rain threat. This is the most serious threat for the next day to 3 days. I'll bring this on up here to the north so you can see what's going on here. This is a special marine warning that has been issued by the National Weather Service. And you can see all of this area in purple. This area in purple means that there's an extreme potential for flooding. In many areas in purple right now, this is going on currently. Extreme rainfall flooding may prompt numerous evacuations and rescues. Rivers and tributaries may overwhelmingly overflow their banks. That is happening in much of this area. There is a flash flood emergency in Atlanta, downtown Atlanta, and the metro. Also to the northeast, the winds are hitting the mountains and causing the air to rise, creating heavy rains. This may be a historic, record-breaking flood in Asheville, with some of the rivers exceeding their previous flood records by 5 to 10 feet. This is going to be highly impactful. It already is, and floodwater rescues are underway in many of these areas. Now, notice that this flood warnings extend up into the Blacksburg, Virginia area. That's where Virginia Tech is, up towards Roanoke, UVA, and those areas. We're seeing this persistent rain because of the low pressure system that's just slowing down and going to get absorbed into this broader weather system. This is the area where critical infrastructure is being impacted greatly during the day today. That means roads, bridges, Landslides are likely happening in some of the mountains of the Appalachians here around Asheville and further north and south. So along the mountains there, that is a distinct possibility because the ground is super saturated. Notice the flood potential heads over across into Tennessee, Nashville, Jackson, Tennessee. This area will see flooding rains again today because of the combination of these two systems. And so what I'd like to do is sort of recap. We have power outages all up and down from Florida to Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina. I'm just going to give a little bit of a recap here in what's going on. So as of earlier this morning, we had more than 4 million households and locations without power. That's of 9 o'clock this morning. And I want to talk just a little bit about the impacts that we're having on various sectors. Obviously, the electricity sector, we have the wind and the rain. We have power outages, damaged power lines and transformers, and transmission tower damage can occur when you have storms like this coming forth. A Category 4 storm is nothing to wink at. Also, transportation with wind and rain, airport closures, flight cancellations, damage to control towers, all that has to be inspected at various airports. That's why there may be delays, particularly the smaller airports. And then transportation for roadways. You have flooded roads, blocked highways, and damage to bridges. I mentioned the bridges around Tampa. There are a lot of them. They have to be inspected before all of them can reopen. Now, fortunately, Department of Transportation staged their inspectors in the Tampa area, so they're getting out quickly so they can turn around those bridge openings. But if you're transporting any goods or services, you're responding, make sure you check locally with officials as to whether or not major bridges have been reopened, particularly down in the Florida area. As far as additional outages, there are about 50,000 resources mobilized to execute and expedite power restoration. That is a huge number of people. So we have a lot of power outages up and down. You can see there from Florida, and that's the path that the storm has taken. Some counties, 100% outage in some counties, rural counties. But this is what's going on with the power outages. So also we have impacts on the food side, the water side, wastewater and retail. The food, you have food supply chain disruptions due to transportation issues. You have rain and flooding from the water sector, water contamination, any disruptions of power and water processing systems, water treatment plants, that will impact communities. Also, wastewater, sewer backups, overwhelmed wastewater treatment facilities, that all causes critical infrastructure impacts, as well as on the retail side, store closures and supply chain interruptions. Retail can't continue to sell things if they don't have anything to sell because the transportation infrastructure has been interrupted. And we also have impacts to healthcare, finance, fuel, gas and oil, and also pipelines. For fuel, for example, fuel shortages due to transport disruptions. The fuel trucks have to get from the depots to the gas stations and the fuel locations to power other things. And so I just wanted to give you an overview, a quick overview of the impacts to critical infrastructure that these storms bring. It's not just pictures of storm surge. It's not just, oh, this neighborhood is out of power. There is a huge sector of people who care deeply about maintaining commerce and making sure you have a place to go and people have a place to get health care and people have a place to buy fuel and fuel to power their businesses. And I did want to mention on the fuel side, there is a disaster fuel response program. EMA, the Energy Marketers of America, have put together this capability of volunteers who provide fuel as a profession around the country to connect with those in need of fuel, businesses, governments, small businesses who need fuel and they don't have it, because power outages may extend for a long period of time in certain areas because of this devastating hurricane. And so you can contact Sherry Stone at the Energy Marketers of America. Her email address is there and her phone number is there. If your organization is in need of fuel, contact Sherry. She can put you in touch with those who can fulfill that fuel need and get that into the disaster area. We know that fuel is critical. And so the last thing I want to leave you with is the latest radar data. And I'm going to show that here. I'll put that into motion just so you can see what's happening. This is radar out of Virginia. I'm going to zoom in here just to show you all of the flash flood warnings. And look at this intense rain just west of Richmond, really impacting the Blue Ridge and causing flooding there as well. Also, Kentucky, eastern Kentucky, Charleston, West Virginia. West Virginia is being impacted as well. I know they sent some crews to help down into Florida, but there may be some flooding impacts going on in parts of West Virginia. So that's it for this update. I'm Dave Jones with Storm Center Communications and GeoCollaborate. Hurricane Helene is no more. Tropical Storm Helene is on its last legs, but it will leave behind its moisture. We will have heavy rain to deal with over the next couple of days that will impact responders and critical infrastructure. We'll be back with another update later this afternoon, probably around 5 or 6 o'clock. In the meantime, please be safe, and we hope that you continue on paying attention with these weather updates as they help the sensitive information sharing environment share information across states, across private sector organizations, so we can keep the economy moving. Thanks for watching.